I gotta be honest, this list was pretty tough to make. When I set out to make it, I thought, this'll be fun, and yeah, it was, but I also thought it would be easy, which it wasn't. So this is my disclaimer. This is in no way, shape, or form considered to be a top list. If you want to see your favorite top list get butchered, go to Watch Mojo YouTube channel. Also, this list is nowhere near definitive, and it's based on the personal opinions of ODD TV alone. Alright, so with that said, let's get started. We're gonna count up to 33. It only seems appropriate in this case.
Number 1, JOSIE and the PUSSYCATS.
A female rock group find themselves in the middle of a conspiracy to deliver subliminal messages through popular music that will brainwash the youth of America and turn them into mindless consumers. How about that? A movie based on real-life events being passed off as fiction.
I'm here to talk to you about something very important. No, it's not about me or my career. I'm here to talk about subliminal messages in rock and roll music, or as it's simply known in some cultures, rock music.
Number 2, the ATTICUS Institute.
In the fall of 1976, a small psychology lab in Pennsylvania became the unwitting home to the only government-confirmed case of possession. The U.S. military assumed control of the lab under orders of national security and soon after implemented measures aimed at weaponizing the entity. The details of the inexplicable events that occurred are being made public after remaining classified for nearly 40 years. A mix of MKUltra and demons is a mix that's too good to be passed up. Make sure to check that one out.
This was the only governmentally confirmed case of possession.
Number 3, Pi.
Max is a super genius mathematician who's built a supercomputer at home that provides something that can be understood as a key for understanding all existence. Representatives both from a Hasidic Kabbalistic sect and a high-powered Wall Street firm hear of the secret and attempt to seduce him.
I found it! You are only a vessel from our God! You are carrying a delivery that was meant for us!
It was given to me.
Number 4, Chain Reaction.
Two researchers in a green alternative energy project discover a low-cost pollution-free fuel and are put on the run when they are framed for murder and treason. This one makes it onto my list due to the frequent so-called mysterious deaths of real-life scientists.
Eddie, the world isn't quite as simple as we'd like it to be. It just doesn't work that way.
Number 5, the PARALLAX view.
An ambitious reporter gets in way over his head while investigating a senator's assassination, which leads to a vast conspiracy involving a multinational corporation behind every event in the world headlines.
Who would have thought, huh?
Number 6, ZOOLANDER.
After a dim-witted male model announces his retirement, he is persuaded by a fashion mogul named Mugatu to lead one last fashion show. Unbeknownst to Derek, he had been brainwashed MKUltra style into killing the Prime Minister of Malaysia at the show.
Your little blue suit and your spiky black hair. You're a super hot ninja.
Number 7, From Hell.
Set in London in the year 1888, a troubled clairvoyant police detective investigates the murders by Jack the Ripper. With the movie's many references to Freemasonry, I thought it was only right to put this one on the list.
Number 8, Starry Eyes.
A hopeful young starlet uncovers the ominous origins of the Hollywood elite and enters into a deadly agreement in exchange for fame and fortune.
He is ready to transform!
Number 9, Altered States.
A Harvard scientist conducts sensory deprivation experiments on himself with a hallucinatory drug and an isolation chamber that causes him to have strange spiritual experiences. This one made my list for the occult and religious symbolism alone.
Number 10, Banshee Chapter.
Journalist Anne Rowland explores the disturbing links behind her friend's sudden disappearance, an ominous government research chemical once used on civilians by the CIA in MK-Ultra experiments, and a disturbing radio broadcast of unknown origin.
Number 11. The Skulls.
Luke's excitement for being selected for the Skulls, a secret society bred within the walls of a prominent Ivy League campus, is soon overshadowed when he realizes that things aren't what they seem. For the Skulls is a breeding ground for the future powerful and elite. It's not only a far cry from his working class background, but it also hallows its own deep and dark secrets.
No outsider shall ever know the work of the Order or the composition of its membership.
Number 12. Rosemary's Baby.
A clandestine satanic cult uses the body of an innocent woman to usher in the birth of the son of Satan. Definitely a classic worth watching for anyone who entertains conspiracies.
This is no dream, this is really happening!
Number 13. Eagle Eye.
Jerry and Rachel are two strangers thrown together by a mysterious phone call from a woman they have never met. Threatening their lives and their family, she pushes Jerry and Rachel into a series of increasingly dangerous situations, using the technology of everyday life to track and control their every move. Interestingly enough, the star of the film had this to say around the time of the movie's production.
And I remember we had an FBI consultant on the picture telling me that they can use your ADT security box microphone to get your stuff that's going on in your house, or OnStar, they could shut your car down. And he told me that 1 in 5 phone calls that you make are recorded and logged. And I laughed at him, and then he played back a phone conversation I'd had 2 years prior.
Number 14. 3 Days of the Condor.
On a seemingly ordinary day, Joe Turner, a quiet CIA codebreaker, walks into his workplace and finds that all of his coworkers have been murdered. Horrified, Joe flees the scene and tries to tell his supervisors about the tragedy. Unfortunately, he soon learns that CIA higher-ups were involved in the murders. With no one to trust and a merciless hitman close on his tail, Joe must somehow survive long enough to figure out why his own agency wants him dead.
Number 15. Omega Man.
In 1977, 2 years after Russia and China engaged in germ warfare and destroyed most of mankind, U.S. Army scientist Robert Neville, who had immunized himself, is practically alone in the city of Los Angeles, except for a group of albino-like survivors, led by a former newscaster, now calling himself Matthias. His group, sensitive to light and heat, are bent on smashing all remnants of the prior civilization, especially Neville. This one makes it onto my list for the Illuminati-like cult of mutants that pursue the last man on Earth. A recent movie that's really similar would be I Am Legend.
Number 16. Wanted.
The anxious, clumsy, and abused office clerk Wesley Allen Gibson has a hellishly boring routine life. His obese boss humiliates him all the time, and his girlfriend cheats on him with his best friend. Then, after meeting a mysterious woman named Fox, Wesley is informed that his father, before he was killed, was a professional assassin that belonged to an ancient organization called the Fraternity. Wesley learns that his anxiety is actually a manifestation of his latent abilities, and he joins the society only to find out that there's more secrets to be discovered. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I found an Illuminati card that reminded me of it, so it made it onto my list.
Number 17. Enemy of the State.
Corrupt NSA official Thomas Reynolds has a congressman assassinated to assure the passage of an expansive new surveillance legislation. When a videotape of the murder ends up in the hands of Robert Clayton Dean, a labor lawyer and dedicated family man, he is framed for murder.
Number 18. The Truman Show.
Truman is a man whose life is a fake one. The place he lives, in fact, is a big studio with hidden cameras everywhere, and all of his friends and people around him are actors who play their roles in the most popular TV series in the world, The Truman Show. Truman thinks that he is an ordinary man with an ordinary life and has no idea about how he is exploited, until one day.
Number 19. Chemical Wedding.
More than 60 years after his death, the demonic life and works of British occultist Aleister Crowley has continued to capture the darkest imaginations. In this thriller, a virtual reality experiment gone wrong sends the soul of the infamous madman into the body of a shy university professor.
You may refer to me as the Beast. The new age has dawned, the eon of horrors. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the war.
Number 20. Nick of Time.
Gene Watson is a public accountant who arrives home in Los Angeles after attending his ex-wife's funeral with his daughter. Soon his daughter is kidnapped and he is given a choice. Either assassinate a particular political figure in 1 hour and 15 minutes or his daughter will be killed. We then follow him through that hour and 15-minute time span. Definitely see this movie if you haven't. It's worth it.
Number 21. Conspiracy Theory.
A man obsessed with conspiracy theories becomes a target after one of his theories turns out to be true. Unfortunately, in order to save himself, he has to figure out which theory it is. I know that this is a no-brainer, and a lot of people don't like Mel Gibson, but I genuinely enjoy and recommend this movie. We could all somewhat relate to the character.
Can you prove any of this?
No, absolutely not. A good conspiracy is an unprovable one.
Number 22. The Manchurian Candidate.
A former Korean War POW is brainwashed by communists into becoming a political assassin, but another former prisoner may know how to save him. This movie reminds me of the Dark Knight Aurora shooting. James Holmes appeared to be programmed or drugged and planted at the scene. I prefer the original version, but the remake is good too.
Number 23. Capricorn 1.
Charles Brubaker is the astronaut leading NASA's first manned mission to Mars. Seconds before the launch, the entire team is pulled from the capsule and the rocket leaves Earth unmanned, much to Brubaker's anger. The head of the program explains that the life support system was faulty and that NASA can't afford the publicity of a scratched mission. The plan is to fake the Mars landing using state-of-the-art studio equipment and then keep the astronauts at a remote base until the mission is over. Excellent movie that helps fuel the moon landing hoax.
Number 24. Stargate.
In modern-day Egypt, Professor Daniel Jackson teams up with retired Army Colonel Jack O'Neill to unlock the code of an interstellar gateway to an ancient Egypt-like world ruled by Ra, blending into Egyptian myth and legend and the covering up of an alien race that once came to this planet and took its inhabitants for slaves. Anyone interested in the Anunnaki will love this one.
Number 25. The Ninth Gate.
Speaking of gates, Dean Corso, a rare book collector, is hired by a world-renowned book collector who possesses one of the only 3 copies of the 9 Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows, a 17th century occult text said to give its owner unimaginable power. Dean's job is to track down the other 2 copies and compare them to his, but complications, both natural and supernatural, arise at every turn. There's even an Illuminati-like group along the way. One of my favorites for sure.
Number 26. Wag the Dog.
After being caught in a scandalous situation days before the election, the president doesn't seem to have much of a chance at being re-elected. One of his spin doctors contacts a top Hollywood producer in order to manufacture a war in Albania that the president can heroically end, all through the mass media. This one made my list because it's a perfect example of how fake the media actually is.
Number 27. The Adjustment Bureau.
Just as he is on the brink of winning a Senate seat, politician David Norris meets a ballerina named Elise. Though David is instantly in love, mysterious men conspire to keep him away from the dancer. David learns that he is facing the powerful agents of fate itself, and glimpsing the future laid out for him, must either accept a predetermined path that does not include Elise, or else defy fate to be with her. To me, this movie is a metaphor for the real unseen powers that be.
Are you an angel? We've been called that. We're more like case officers.
Number 28. The Cabin in the Woods.
When 5 college friends arrive at a remote forest cabin for a little vacation, little do they expect the horrors that await them. One by one, the youths fall victim to backwoods zombies, but there is another factor at play. 2 scientists are manipulating everything that's going on. Just like the Adjustment Bureau, it's a perfect example of reality being manipulated by unseen forces.
Oh, let's get this party started!
Number 29, Society.
Bill is worried that he's different than his sister and his parents. They mix with other upper-class people while Bill is more down to earth. Even his girlfriend seems a bit odd. All is revealed when Bill returns home to find a sex party for the elite in full swing, not for the weak of stomach.
Number 30, The Conspiracy.
2 young filmmakers select a crazed conspiracy theorist as the subject for their next project, but after discovering a dangerous ancient secret society, they soon come to believe that the man isn't as delusional as they originally thought.
That's the genius of these rulers, that they've created this society that's conditioned to deny what's right in front of its eyes.
Number 31, Eyes Wide Shut.
A doctor becomes obsessed with having a sexual encounter after his wife admits to having sexual fantasies about a man she met, and chastising him for not admitting his own fantasies. This sets him off into unfulfilled encounters with a dead patient's daughter and a hooker. But when he visits a nightclub where a pianist friend, Nick Nightingale, is playing, he learns about a secret sex club and decides to attend one of their congregations. This movie is certainly held in high regard by Illuminati theorists, especially after the death of Stanley Kubrick shortly after the making of the film.
Number 32, The Matrix.
A computer hacker learns from mysterious rebels about the true nature of his reality and his role in the war against its controllers. This is one of the most referenced films in the conspiracy world due to its ability to resonate with everybody. This film is very clever, and whoever watches it can't help but think, what if? What if reality is a complete fake? There are many of us that already understand this as a fact. The difference is, we know that it's actually a small group of ultra-wealthy people that have a stranglehold on humanity's freedom. As some of the movies mentioned previously, this movie can be interpreted as highly metaphorical.
Number 33, They Live.
Coming in at number 33, the highest degree that we can see, we have They Live. A wanderer without meaning in his life discovers a pair of sunglasses capable of showing the world the way that it actually is. As he walks the streets of Los Angeles, the nameless drifter notices that both the media and the government are comprised of subliminal messages, and that most of the social elite are skull-faced aliens bent on world domination. With this shocking discovery, John Nada, as listed in the credits, fights to free humanity from the mind-controlling aliens. This movie is hands down the most relevant when it comes to what the world actually looks and feels like when someone snaps out of the illusion. I know I felt like this.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Feel free to provide some of your favorite conspiracy movies in the comments below. This is ODD TV. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.